Last night, my kids made a brand new sign to hang up behind me. It's right up there behind me. It says, Caribou Dude! Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. Let's go.
There it is.
This is bad news.
My God.
Falling out right now. Anything could happen.
I'll watch the video later.
Yeah.
I'm up in this. All right, what's going on today? What happened today on Sunday, the 19th of January already? We're just flying through. Tomorrow is the 20th of January. Oh my God, don't remind me. Okay, let's talk about the weather. Just talk about the weather, Joey. Okay, we got lots of thunderstorms off the coast of Florida there. Two low pressure systems sitting out in the Atlantic. One of them making a lot of lightning today and even into the night. We got some weather going through Atlantic Canada. We got cold air spilling all the way down, making extreme cold warnings all the way across into Ontario. That extreme cold is going to make its way all the way down south, where it will not necessarily be extreme when it gets to the south, but it has now got, we have winter storm warnings for New Orleans and things like that are going on. We expect snow across Alabama, snow into Texas on Monday night, moving through Tuesday. That's coming at them. High pressure keeping it chillier in BC. We are maybe at or slightly below seasonal depending where you are in the province. Nice January weather all in all. Very dry, very crisp. You can see that high pressure is blocking this flow of moisture. There's a bit of an atmospheric river heading up towards the Alaska Panhandle. They're getting lots of snow up there still, and we are not seeing any of that in British Columbia. We're seeing very, very clear skies for the most part. A little bit of cloud in there, I guess, today. A little bit stronger low off into the Pacific. Not incredibly deep, but a little bit stronger, and it is helping churn things that direction nonetheless. So we're going to watch how things play out through the week. But let's go play with a new toy I got here first. What I have for you right here is a brand new product called the Dynamic Ensemble Base Scenarios for IDSS. It's experimental and non-operational, it says right up there. However, it seems to be operating because I have it operating right now just fine. So this is from National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration, and this is a really, really great map to see what they expect to do. This is cold air spilling out. We're going to watch where it goes. We can see where those extreme cold warnings go towards Ontario. You can see how that cold, freezing weather, maybe I should just take off the roads. So you have to watch where that cold is going. It's being pushed east this week. It's being pushed east is what's going to happen. So we're going to zoom in on British Columbia, Western Canada, kind of watch how this plays out, and we're going to add some toys to this right now. Well, let's look at precipitation. We'll look at 3-hour precipitation. This is a very simple one, probabilistic, and we'll click on that. We'll add that to the graph. Now we got two different colors going on here, one being green, and so we're going to simplify this now. We're just going to turn off the shading on the cold temperatures. So now you're just going to have to imagine that this shading, these contour lines here represent the different shades that you just saw, right? So, and here's the coldest air. As you go out, you can see when you get to the green is where the nicer air tends to be now, down to the California coast and Oregon, southern BC. So now, what are we looking at here? Okay, so you can see that cold air is here in BC. So now we're going to watch what happens on Monday morning. Going to watch that atmospheric river stream there. Weak as it may be, I guess, in some regards. It's moving at least. It's nice. It's going to move past Haida, hit up into the central coast. So Terrace, you're going to be seeing, again, Terrace is going to take it in the teeth. Just like we said last week, Terrace takes it in the teeth. But, well, thank goodness it does. It's going to spill a little bit of snow out there Tuesday into the Rocky Mountains. That's sort of a new update, I think, on this modeling. So that's kind of nice to see that maybe we got a little bit more snow into the Rockies than we expected. Some of that moisture is going to hit that cold air and just fall. That's all it can do. And then we're looking at coming into Wednesday evening. That's next pulse. Northern BC CC starts it. Then on the south central coast again. Lots of snow for you in Terrace. North part of Vancouver Island, maybe getting a little bit of that. Then into the Caribou Mountains, maybe into the bits of the Peace, through the North Rockies. Going to watch some of that snow spill down. Some of that will get into the central interior of the BC. Now we can do this the opposite way. We'll go shaded on the temperature, and we'll go contour on the precipitation. So it's just a different way of looking at the same thing we just were looking at. You can see the Great Lakes seeing a fair bit again. precipitation there. But there you go. See that Pacific air makes its way up there and kind of hits into northern BC. And it's going to drastically warm things up in that northeast section into the Pine Pass, into Fort Nelson, areas like that. You can see some of that precipitation moving down the Rockies into Alberta. As we get later in the week, you might see a little bit of flurries and whatnot, but going to stay pretty cold through Western Canada, seasonal or seasonal or maybe just below in some cases. And then we got that nice Pacific flow there, bringing a little bit more snow in later in the week. So we're just going to rewind for a second here and look back. You see how this BC storm, this is what happened last week. This BC storm went up into the coast, became this Alberta Clipper that slammed through Manitoba really hard, now making its way into eastern Canada, going to create a lot of weather for them there, ushering cold air down, that cold air making its way all the way to Texas. And we know that storm that starts in Texas is going to later on take off and go hit the British Isles. So an amazing thing we are watching. Now we'll go look at the updated here on Tomer Berg's site, Polar WX. Great site. I really appreciate it. All the different kinds of maps we can get, the better, man. So thank you very much for having this great site, Tomer Berg. Something you guys can look up, Polar WX. And we're just looking at where things are going this week. Again, I'm not seeing a crazy amount of precipitation, but will some spill down through southern BC later this week? And just rewinding back a little bit again and watching, mostly we got a high pressure story dominating for us a lot of the week, and it's keeping us from really getting hit dead on by any of these Pacific storms. There it is, really showing itself again, that high pressure really popping. So that's keeping temperatures, kind of stable on the seasonal side for us, but keeping us also with this Pacific, battle going on, keeping us from having seen the worst of the cold as it was experienced through much BC lately. Well, let's have a look at the bad news battle board here for a second, and we will come back and dial in on everything happening in BC this week here in a minute. But now that little warm-up you see coming into Fort Nelson to start the week, that's going to also create some winds. So winds gusting up to 80 there Monday afternoon and evening for the South Peace. So a trough moving across Peace River region on Monday afternoon will generate strong westerly winds of 80 kilometers expected, maybe peaking at 90. And pretty much everywhere, once you go east of there, is extreme cold warning, 40 to 45s. Go out into Saskatchewan, we're looking at 40 to 45s. Northern Saskatchewan, 45s. Periods of extreme cold up to minus 50. Tuesday still for Manitoba. That will start to improve this week. Extreme cold warning at minus 50 for Churchill. Most of Ontario sitting at 40, 45. Even into southern Ontario. Very southerly regions that don't normally see that kind of cold. Mom, I don't know if you're watching this one, but minus 35 coming at you. Late tonight through Monday morning, extreme cold conditions may persist as long as Wednesday. The Arctic air mass with bitterly cold wind chills will be in the area this week, depending on cloud cover. Maybe severe, may serve to moderate temperatures slightly. Well, extreme cold may persist through the week, maybe into Wednesday for some areas. So very, very, very cold. Even down south, almost to Peterborough, hitting minus 30. And I'm sure even if you're in Peterborough, you'll be like, well, it's still very, very cold here. 20 to 40 centimeters. So we got this lake effect snow that just never seems to stop this winter. The lakes seem to not have cooled off enough to not keep generating more, that cold air. It pulls across that warmer water, and it just pulls that moisture out and turns it into snow almost immediately. Lake effect snow off Georgian Bay could move into the area Monday afternoon. Westerly winds of 50 kilometers an hour. Snow squalls for you. Snow squall warning tonight through Wednesday morning, up to 60 centimeters, probably 30 depending on your location in the Bruce Peninsula. Southern Ontario, man, there's so much winter to talk about right now. 5 to 15 centimeters. Looking at extreme cold in Quebec, 38 to 42 below. Maybe into Wednesday morning. Extreme cold, 38 to 44 along the St. Lawrence areas. Now we have weather alerts for extreme cold, but also snowfall warnings in New Brunswick, where an area low pressure will track across the province. The one we've been talking about it now for like a week here on the channel. It's finally making its way there. Gusty winds from the north will develop behind the low with the freshly fallen snow. What kind of extreme cold, though, are they looking at? Freezing rain warnings if you go into Nova Scotia. So there's a place where that extreme cold is going to butt up against more moderate Atlantic weather. And for those of you who are in that area, you're going to have, you'll have to look and check your local forecast to find out 35 to 40 below in northern New Brunswick. That's not common for them at all. That's very, very cold for them. It's very extremely cold. Rainfall warning into parts of Newfoundland, 35 millimeters, maybe 60 millimeters inland. Rainfall warnings up along the north coast. Wind warnings of 100 kilometer an hour in the Canada Bay area in through St. John's, Bona Vista, the entire east coast, looking at 100 kilometer an hour winds. Up into the mainland, winter storm warning for 30 centimeters up there, maybe 20, 80 kilometer an hour gusts and a winter storm watch as you go a little further up to Postville and Makovic and places like that in the mainland of Labrador. So just like I said, that one little BC storm went through. Last video I was talking about this. One little BC storm went through and just fucked things up all over North America, even down to Texas, and it will eventually help cause chaos over in England. I mean, you just can't make this stuff. And if it's causing chaos in England and it's hitting up there that low, I'm sure if we looked at the models, we'd find that it's going to move into the rest of Europe, affect the rest of Europe, and maybe even have some in the western parts of Asia have some effects there. Anyways, back to Canada at least. So we'll start zooming out, looking at the big picture at least for now, because you know what's going on tonight. I mean, it's clear out. It's clear out. We got a high pressure all through Western Canada, clear. It's not until you're in northern Quebec or until you're in that Atlantic coast. I guess that's actually a bit of a different storm than the one I was talking about. So I'll correct myself there. But this guy up here, that's the one that came out of BC, but still that one brought cold air down that has helped develop this guy. So it's still this guy doesn't exist here without this guy having ushered that cold air down. So I'm not exactly wrong, okay, I can justify anything, just like a lawyer mom used to say as a kid. She said, it's better you don't lie, son, just justify. She always told me. So the high pressure, that cold temperature making it all the way down into Mexico. Man, this is a real Arctic outbreak. Man, parts in the states there, you're looking at minus 24s through Colorado, Idaho Springs. Look at that. You guys have cold weather up in Wyoming. Extreme cold for you guys. At places that don't see a whole lot of that. Sometimes a little bit when these kind of setups happen. Nonetheless, minus 21 down the Rockies into 8 in the morning in BC. Williams Lake probably sitting around minus 18. We'll look at the Diggy's Diner weather station here in a minute here for Wells too, and we'll get a little bit of a handle on what the last bunch of days have kind of looked like in terms of a change. But some cold air settling in. Probably some inversion going on in some places. So the valleys in these mountains are going to be very cold. Not that the mountaintops won't be as well, but that cold air is a way of trying to find the lowest place it can. Cold air stinks, as you know. And there you go. There's your little bit of a warm-up, kind of a weird Chinook almost going on into northern Alberta, northern BC. Seeing some of those temps could see above zero move through during the day on Monday there. So very interesting for you. Meanwhile, heading down the states where that cold air is making it now, the extreme cold, making it all the way to New Mexico. Look at that. We could be seeing minus 20s in New Mexico. That's possible. That is extremely rare, my friends. That's extremely rare. All the way down, and look at this low that's going to start developing here. We'll go back and see. That's what the cold air does when it meets all that moisture off the Gulf there. Look at that. Houston, Texas, all the Texas south coast getting either heavy rain or snowfall, or rain then snowfall. Louisiana with a winter storm warning. New Orleans going to see some snow, 3 to 5 inches in some of these places that aren't in the warnings, that are just for on watch right now. Alabama, James Spann was talking about. If you watch James Spann, he's got his own Facebook or his own YouTube channel here, and he's an excellent meteorologist. James Spann. Well, what's going on up in BC at this time Tuesday? Maybe a little bit of precip. Well, where did that come from? We'll go back here just for a second and watch how this low kind of forms in down behind. That's what's bringing some of your warmer weather. It's like it's all because of things that are coming in off this Pacific flow. And it's just kind of hitting that cold air now. I'm going to ride it down and give us it looks like I think kind of a weak low, I think, this week for the parts of the prairies. But you can watch that ribbon of moisture is profoundly evident still all the way across the Pacific, as it often is. We've got a high pressure block there in the middle of the Pacific. We've got a high pressure block off the Canada and U.S. coast. Off the mainland and spilling onto the coast. So that ribbon is being concentrated into where it can go. Those zones are forcing it into narrow places, and that's finding its way all the way up into northern BC, for Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. You can see it spilling in over the North Coast mountains there. Some of the really big mountains. Maybe Whitehorse seeing a little bit of snow. -6 there only, so seems like pretty reasonable temperatures for you. You can watch how that atmospheric river is sliding downwards and going to give you another pull there at Terrace. Looking at another pull of coastal weather for you. How much will be snow for the Prince Rupert area and how much will be rain? Probably more rain than snow, I would think. And you're going to be above zero mostly for you. So that outflow, it'll be attacked enough by the inflow from the coast. But you can see how some of that snow is making its way down there Wednesday afternoon now already. Prince George getting a little bit of flurries. Terrace sitting into a lot of messy weather. Like you have been getting a lot of lately. And hello everyone in Terrace. I know people in Terrace are watching. Northern BC there. Look at you. Maybe Mackenzie gets a dusting Wednesday night. I don't know. Most of this looks to be a Caribou Mountains and Rocky Mountains event, the way it kind of jumps in. Doesn't look like the North Rockies, and I kind of start the North Rockies at the Pine Pass, in my mind, but I guess you could start them at Jasper in reality. So yeah, maybe the North Rockies by that definition, but as you can see, up in towards the Peace Snow, kind of missing that for sure. Thursday morning, you're going to watch how that slides its way on down. So maybe if you got travel plans, I would say Thursday. If you're in the McBride, you're going to be heading down that 5 highway. Not a great idea. Revelstoke Thursday, and a little later by the time you get to Thursday lunchtime, probably going to see some snow through that, maybe even as far south as Kamloops. But Revelstoke Pass, looking at some a little bit into the Kootenays, a little bit into the Highway 33 corridor for Thursday. How much we'll find out later in the week, but not looking profound. No. Temperatures being enough though to sustain snow at lower elevations. That high pressure, very high, still sitting off the coast there. Luckily for us though, we're getting enough kind of wrapping in and around it that although we're sitting in the chilly, getting kind of seasonal weather. Generally, if you get a high pressure, it's kind of sitting here, you would expect it to be delivering us colder air than it is. But no, luckily we're getting more of a flow through that coastal section of Alaska, spilling out and around and back down and in for us, right? So keeping it still mostly a fairly sunny week for a lot of us. Temperature's not too bad compared to what people east of us have seen. We'll see how this low develops later in the Friday. It could be a bit of a repeat. It doesn't seem like it to me looking at the models right now, but it could be a repeat of last week Friday. That's entirely possible. And I think later in the week we'll look at it. I don't think it'll be it doesn't seem to me to have the signal to be as strong as last Friday's episode, but it may be an episode, I guess is what I'm saying. So be watching for that. That's pretty much what we're looking at this week. And as you come into the weekend in BC, probably seeing mostly clear conditions still yet in through much of the weekend for especially southern BC, maybe northern BC. We'll see a change in that. But as we go through the week, we'll look at that more and more and get a better picture on that. Suffice to say, temps this week in BC, pretty nice. We're not really, during the day on Tuesday minus, but between 0 and 10 in almost everywhere in southern BC during the daytime. In the nighttime, you're going to hit a little bit colder, hitting into those 11s, 12s, 14s in places. If you're far south enough or the coast enough, maybe not. But even Tulameen looking at 15s, maybe a little warmer in the Okanagan in some of those areas. It just depends where you are. Elkford, -20. You're going to see some chilly times through the week. Chilly times when you go watch that temperature, keep getting at least forced back. Again, pretty stable temperatures to me for most of us in BC this week. Kind of most days will be kind of the same. Could see brief warmer spells. Maybe Thursday night is that brief warmer spell. Yeah, okay. But then back to kind of sort of what we've been in. So I think all in all, I'd say temperatures are fairly stable if you took just represented this week as a whole. Well, hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, come back again. I'll probably have some new content for you this week. Maybe I'll make a bad news show and talk about things that are on my mind, Keep politics out of it, Joey. No, I have to say whatever I want. I'm a pro-democracy person, and I really believe in people speaking ideas. I do. I believe in you speaking your ideas, but if your ideas are just a regurgitation of someone else's ideas, then maybe I'm less interested in it. So, try to have your own ideas. Okay, that's the show for today. Stay warm out there, everybody. Stay safe. And let's have one last look at Wells weather this week from the Diggy's Diner board. So here's the weather station from Diggy's today. The high today was minus 1.1, the low minus 17.2 last night. Pretty high pressure right now, sitting at 1023 was the high today, but we know not too different from what I'm actually reading right now on the station, 1022.35 hectopascals. Let's have a look at weekly mode, and we're going to see that this week we had our warmest temperatures of the month so far, and our coldest temperatures so far of the month, right? Between 13th and 19th, 4.7 degrees, minus 19.2. Have a look at the monthly mode here, and what do we find out? Find out that those were the warmest and the coldest temperatures so far this month. So we had a pretty stable, normal January where it didn't get too cold or too warm, and then we had kind of some spikes in warmth, and then roof dropped right off the charts into cold territory. It'll be interesting to look at in a week from now how this has changed, or how it developed, or whatever. So hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Joey on the Caribbean Weather Dude, here for you. Okay, bye now.